welcome everybody. Let's talk real estate. Your weekly BS with Barry Saywitz about the current commercial real estate market here in Southern California. As we take a no BS look at both sides of the issues driving this market today to find the best solutions going forward. With our man right in the middle, it's Barry Saywitz. Hey, Barry.
Hey, good morning, Paul, and good morning to all of our viewers and our listeners out there. If it's Tuesday, which I'm pretty sure it is, we are talking real estate. I'm Barry Saywitz, president of the Saywitz Company and managing partner of Saywitz Properties, and we are here talking some more cool real estate. I want to thank all of our viewers and our listeners for tuning in again. We have a gorgeous spring-ish, summer-ish day, liking the weather here in Southern California, and I'm excited about today's show. We're going to delve into a unique sort of a niche in terms of the residential real estate market, and I'm excited to have our guest Roy Osorio with Coldwell Banker Residential and Elite Elevate Services, if you will. And we're going to delve into talking about how do you sell a piece of residential real estate and what makes it work and how to do it better. Roy, thanks for coming on the show.
Oh, thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Yeah, so first I want to talk a little bit about your background in real estate and how you got to where you are today. But if we rewind the clock, so to speak, you have a long history in the real estate and the finance world, especially here in Orange County in particular. Talk about how you got into the real estate world in the first place. I know it was on the finance side to begin with.
You know, what's so funny is they always say, nobody wakes up and says when they're 10 years old, gee, I want to go be a loan officer.
Yeah.
But it happened that way. Basically, my wife at the time, we turned around and she says, you'd make a great loan officer and rates are great and let's go into it. So I started, taking people out of 20s and 18s back in the day down to 9s, and
you were a hero.
Yeah, I was a hero. So it was great. I loved it. And that obviously, financing that led right into real estate, obviously. And so then real estate began buying and selling homes also, number one. And number two, started developing and building out homes and eventually turning into like flipping also. So, yeah.
And so as the real estate, you've seen a bunch of cycles in the real estate market, whether it's the recession or the dot bomb, or certainly the most recent turn of cycles would be COVID. And the markets ebb and flow and change with that as it goes. Today, people complain that interest rates are 6.5% or 6% or whatever the case is. And so if you rewind and compare to 18, it's a great deal. If you look at yesterday's rates of 2.5% or 3%, it's horrible. And that tends to dictate sort of the activity in the market, but the concept for real estate really doesn't change, right? You've been doing it long enough, and the issue is if the property doesn't look good and it doesn't have some sort of appeal, it's not going to sell as easily as something that does.
Yeah, I think, the idea of real estate in the 50s was go get your home, live in it for 30 years, right? Nowadays, that trend has gone a little different. Now it's very cyclical. You can say 5, 7, every 10 years, people are either moving up, moving out, life cycles, all that neat stuff, divorces, deaths, marriages, and so forth. So there's this constant cycle going on. Well, this cycle is also relevant in terms of even pricing or when you buy. You either buy at the high end or you buy at the low end, but you're always buying.
Yeah.
And or selling for that matter. And then the product that you bring to market is critical. Yes.
And we've talked about it on other shows. If you buy something and you live there for 30 years, it should be worth more money. You'll be just fine. You will have made money whether you bought it at the height or at the bottom of the market. But if you're buying your house and historically, and this doesn't apply to everybody, but a lot of people, I want to trade up. I buy my house, I make money, and then I go get something bigger or nicer or closer to the beach or a better view or whatever floats your boat. And I continue to try and trade up as much as I possibly can, sort of the American dream, right? And so I get a new car every 5 years, maybe I get a new house. And if you time it wrong, you can't do that, right? So if your interest rate today is 2.5 and you'd have to go out and get 6.5, you probably stay where you're at a little longer and see how it goes. But for the folks that are out there that are looking to buy, you really have this issue, especially in today's market, where you have limited opportunities. And so the average person, I think, cannot visualize a house that looks terrible or is old or whatever. I can, but I mean, we have people that come in and they go, "This is gorgeous," right? If it was already fixed up or it looked nice and it was clean or had nice furniture as opposed to something that looks terrible. Do you find that in the real estate market, it's a lot based on emotion?
Yes, and again, your forever home or whatnot. But even I come from an immigrant family, okay, and I can tell you right now, my grandmother would have easily bought the most ugliest teardown out there, and the way she saw it is, we're going to put our sweat and equity into it,
Right.
and we're going to make it happen. So I think that's really
So
something.
that's a generational thing.
That's
I don't know if
generational.
that's as much today.
Yeah, no, exactly. And it isn't today. So today now you have to hand them a nice product. You have to hand them I call it the new car smell. You have to hand them the new
Right.
car smell, because then at that point they're not walking into a property going, what do I have to do? It's honey, and I've seen it before. I've seen, and negotiations really great there. I've seen the wife just pinch that man's arm or kick him under the table and say, "We want this property. I want this property." So yeah, it becomes more an emotional type of situation. The other component too is it's California. I mean, the appreciation in equity out here in real estate, it's always going to be going up. It's so there's the husband,
Or at least that's the belief, right?
at least that's the belief, But we
And
look
historically
over,
really has.
historically 30 years, it has. I have never seen it.
Right.
Yeah, you have your crashes and everything, but eventually everything settles down and it's still up, 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 up.
So so you're in the loan business. Let's go back for a second, right? So what makes you get out of the loan business into the sales side of things?
The extra zero.
Yeah.
No, I mean, the loan business was fun, and it provided a good living for me, and it provided I raised basically two families out of it: my own immediate mom, grandmother, brother, and sister, and my own family, my four kids and wife. So it provided a good living. But real estate was always my fun part. I like building, I like creating something new, something fresh, something that people want, and it just, the vision, the dream of something beautiful is always what drives me anyway in my business model.
And so the build up to COVID, the fix and flip era, if you will, very easy to do, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there were people out there really didn't know what they were doing, and they would put, for lack of a better term, lipstick on the pig in many instances, and just turn around and flip it 3 or 6 months later and make some money. Right? No money down, and fix and flip and get out of it. Then there were others that would come in and dig deeper and remodel and renovate and move walls and do more to try and get more profit out of it. And so part of it is you're building a product. The other part of it is I'm trying to maximize my return on my investment.
Correct. Yeah. No, I mean, what can I say? It's the buyer is really dictating what's going on, and the marketplace also is dictating higher interest rates. Buyers, 68% of the buyer demographic right now is millennial and boomer. Millennials have no vision and no money by their own mouth.
Yeah.
I've said this. And boomers, been there, done that. So you have to hand them something differently. You have to have the boomers used to have this strategy where, what was it? Price high, negotiate low to the price we want, right? Millennials don't think like that. Millennials just go, what's the price?
Yeah.
I'm paying that price, and that's it. And so at the end of the day, it's what you want. How bad do you want it? And the COVIDs and the whatever that came about, I'll be honest with you, the reason I started doing something called Roy's Open Houses is because they became virtual. Great. People still wanted to see properties. You had procedures and processes how to do that. Boom, go out there. Put your sign out there, say, here, fill out your information. You need gloves and you need this and whatever, so we're all legit. People are still buying. It doesn't matter what nightmare thing occurs in life.
And at that point, you still had pretty low interest rates, and you had a lot of people that were working out of the house or home a lot more often. So the desire to get more open space or a bigger house or a bigger floor plan really became more prevalent, I think. Now, let's fast forward. So we're in what I'm going to call the post-COVID era, right? The pre-election era also, right? We'll see how these things play themselves out, but you still have high interest rates, and I don't expect that is going to change. The days of the 2.5% and the 3%, I think, are gone. So you have to come to grips with whatever that number is going forward. And now you still have very limited inventory in the market because people aren't building. The fix and flip, you really can't do. There's not enough juice in it. And the people that have a 2.5% or a 3% mortgage, why would they sell and go get twice that? And so it makes less people do the trade up and other things. So that gets back to, okay, so where are we at in today's market? Your focus is predominantly Southern Orange County, very limited opportunity. And so what happens in today's market between buyer and seller from your perspective in terms of what you're seeing?
Well, one of the things that came out of COVID especially was the whole open concept approach, and open areas and being able to work from home and so forth. So a lot of that we now have to readjust our product line. How do we deliver a product to a buyer and or a consumer? And how does a seller respond to that also? And one of those components has to do with the way a property does look and feel. Okay, the ability to have an office space or an extra room or whatnot to create the office for that individual that's working from home. The interest rates and everything, I'm telling you, people still want to buy. I mean, you got builders and developers who are buying land and still affordable, cities who are giving, perks and everything for builders to come in and build. They still need to move them in, whether it's high density urban infill or whatnot in LAs or in the cities, or even in Dana Point right now where they're building business,
Right, the work-live
situation. So we're always going to find a cave that we need to move into. The question is what that cave looks like, and is it affordable? And guess what? Even interest rates. I always tell people, look at the payment. Don't look at the interest rate.
Yeah.
All my 4 children have bought homes using interest-only vehicles. Because why pay the bank pay the bank what you owe to them and let appreciation and everything take care of the principal down the road.
Yeah,
whenever you decide to build.
And the analysis, I guess, for the younger folks is if I was going to pay the landlord rent and then I compare that to my payment, you need to compare that after tax and look at what your after tax total nut is at the end of the day in terms of where you end up. And so I think, that if you're still interested and you're out there and you're buying, there's limited opportunities, and while there's not a feeding frenzy and there's not 10 offers on a property, it still is somewhat of a seller's market.
It's still much of a seller's market, but again, the buyer himself is becoming a little bit more selective. They're not that desperate, quote unquote.
Yes.
They want a better product. They don't want to come in and have to do work. They don't. And this is at any scale of economic, lifestyle. It could be a guy who's buying an under $1 million, $800,000, $500,000 property to a $3-4 million property. They don't. Interest rates are too high for that, cost and everything. They don't want to go there.
I agree, and especially on the lower priced homes. And the entry level, you're really talking about somebody who's coming from the apartment rental environment. And when you go to rent an apartment, it looks nice. Nobody rents you a junky apartment, right? I mean, in today's world, everybody fixes it up. It's got new flooring. It's got new paint. It looks fresh, right? So why, when I go from that to my house, do I have to go do a bunch of stuff? I also feel, and I'm curious your thoughts, that the retrade is back, right? And so when you had this very hot real estate market, pre-COVID, there was no trading because you had multiple offers. So you're buying the thing, you're doing stupid stuff. Your deposit goes hard very quickly. You have no contingencies, and you're just going and you're taking a leap of faith because the pitch is, if you don't do it, I got a guy coming at 2 o'clock and he's going to do it, right? And in today's world, that's not so much the case. So it feeds for, hey, this thing's bad. This needs a new water heater. The roof's old. And then you get the sort of retrade, and then there's the expectation I'm going to get the retrade. I'm curious what you're seeing in your world.
It's funny you say that right now because literally I had a property that could not give away, this realtor back in the day could not give the property away for $2.2 million last year. We put $457,000 into it. Brand new design, beautiful Spanish Mediterranean, contemporary. We brought it to market at 3.4, got 3.4 in 7 days.
Okay. Because it looked nice and
because it looked nice and felt good. And here's the thing though, and the realtor still, the buyer's agent still turned around and came in at $3 million and is going back and forth with me. And I'm going, what are you doing? And I totally understand you're negotiating for your buy. I get it. That's good. But come on.
Stop.
Let's get real. Stop. Okay. Right. And so it's like, and before you know it, I literally said this because I put the property on hold for a couple of weeks. We had to take care of some business with the house. I said, if you want to continue this game, I'm going to bring it back to market again, off hold at this price point. And she knew immediately, oh, no. We'll take you 3-4. Thank you very much. Have a nice day.
But there is the perception that there's a kink in the armor. And certainly as a buyer or a buyer's agent, it doesn't hurt to ask. The buyer's agent is trying to earn some stripes. the buyer's agent, if they were smart, that they would try and talk their client out of that. But then if the client's perception is, I should be getting a better deal. Hey, hey, the interest rates are high. Hey, the market's not as hot. Hey, the guy should negotiate. And then we had this happen yesterday where the agent told the client no. And then the client said, no, I want to go back and offer less. And then I just said, okay, we're done. And then they came back an hour later and said, okay, fine, we'll do it. But so I don't default somebody or criticize them for asking, but the fact of the matter is you have to have some sort of bridging of the gap between the disconnected buyer and seller.
I think you and I come from the same school, Zig Ziglar.
Yes, I know Zig Ziglar. I took that course.
As long as it's a win-win, and when I look at a buyer, I literally look at the buyer. I totally appreciate you wanting to get a deal, but I also want you to look at something for a second. You want San Clemente for a reason. What's that reason?
Yeah.
Okay. You want a 5,000 square foot property. There are no other 5,000 square foot properties. And again, it's creating a value add proposition for the buyer also, because it is a win-win for the buyer. You come in with a phenomenal product that he's proud of, that he likes, he enjoys living in it, and turns around and says, I'm also going to appreciate, I'm now going to be a part of the American dream. So I don't fault a buyer's agent for doing it, or a buyer. The disconnect really is, how can you meet what the buyer wants? Well, listen to what the buyers want. The sellers, I tell the sellers all the time, what are they looking for? If they like their little white on black and they like this neutral palette that they can come in and do their own thing, let's give it to them, because that's when it's attractive. Let's make this relationship or this kind of encounter a positive one for everybody. The seller gets what he wants. The buyer goes, thank you very much for delivering a nice product to me that I'm willing to pay X for it, and so forth. The neat thing about it from a loan perspective between you and I, what really got me started in flipping, VA and FHA, they actually offer a deal to where the buyers can come in and flip their own properties. In other words, come in and pick up a ugly looking property, they subsidize in the same loan amount, they subsidize the renovation of the property, and then they fix it. Thank you, America. I mean, where else can you get that?
Well,
3.5% down.
Right. Thank you for serving. And you have the most smokinest deal ever in terms of buying a house, which is true.
It's again, I always look at it, it's got to be a win-win. It can't be a seller wins as a seller's market. I believe it's in everybody's market. I do believe that. I
agree with you 100%. And then I also believe that if you walked in and saw dirty walls or, baby blue 30-year-old painted walls, the perception is I should get a better deal because I got to do a bunch of work. And really paint is probably one of the cheapest things you're going to deal with. And so the conversation would be, look, just paint it white and have it be fresh, and then it will look better. The question that I have is, when you put the money into the house, whether that's you advising the seller to do it on their own to make their house look better, to put it on the market, or whether you go in with them or it's your own property that you're going to fix up, what is the push and pull feedback that you get from the seller? Because sometimes they don't want to do it, or they're cheap, or they think it looks nice. And I know what the pitch is to the buyer, because if you've spent a bunch of money, then the pitch is, look, we just spent all this money renovating it. You don't have to do that, right? And in today's world, it really does cost a lot of money. And then there's the headache of doing it. But I'm curious what you hear from the sellers when you talk to them.
Nope.
Yeah, I don't want to do it. Just sell it.
Right? Nope is an acronym for new owner's problem. And that, I think, is what the problem that the real estate group industry as a whole has committed is. I tell my clients, my sellers, look, realtors chase commission and they chase a price, maybe. But at the end of the day, they got their commission. They don't really care what the price is. Hold it for a little while, 6 months, whatever. I think that's irresponsible. In all honesty, it's completely irresponsible. I come from a builder-developer platform where I come and say, ROI, I chase profit, okay? So I tell my seller, I said, listen, first of all, your home is not your home anymore. It's a product. Do you want to make a lot of money on it? Great. How do we do this? You got to deliver a product that the industry wants, that the market can bear and wants to pay top dollar for. So think of it like a business for a moment. I come in with my business mindset. I go, if I put $100,000 into this and we get $200,000, $300,000 back because we did that, what's the ROI on that? 300%? Right. So I come to my sellers like that. I kid you not. You know what the craziest people are that actually think this is crazy or not crazy? Is the high end. The high end sitting there in Newport Beach or the Tuscany, yellow mustard estate, Travertine floors, and all stuff that back in the day, Ford Coppola and a couple of mafiosos back in New York, we used to love to smoke cigars in houses like that.
Yeah.
But they don't sell like that anymore, right? So at the end of the day, it's kind of like, please understand your money. You've made money. Watch this. Put a buck in to make 10 back. That's a good day. And by the way, you don't have to come up with it. I'll do it. I'll come in with my money. I'll come in with my designers and my contractors, and we'll develop more profit for you. Fair enough?
So now, rather than just being the broker telling them, hey, here's what your property's worth, here's what I'm going to do to market it, now you've thrown a different spin on things, right? So now it's either you put the money up and you fix it up and I'll help you. I have people, I have advisors, I can make suggestions. Or if you don't want to do it, you put the money up, you become their partner, so to speak.
Most people say, put your money where your mouth is. Like I'll tell a realtor, I said to a realtor, by the way, if I put this turnkey, I'll tell another realtor who's selling a property, who's not selling, basically. I said, if you turn this turnkey, what do you think it's worth? What do you think you could sell it for? And then he gives me a number, obviously, right? And I says, great. Would you be willing to invest that money into that deal so you can make that higher profit? Well, I'm
Yeah.
like, really, dude? I believe enough in my numbers, in the profitability of this property, in the power of this property, and what it can command. So I'm going to put my money where my mouth is, and I'm going to make all of us money. Fair enough?
And I feel like some sellers just don't want to spend any money. Either they don't have it, or they don't want to do it, or they figure that it's yesterday's market and it'll just sell in 2 days, which it's not. And then I think the problem that you have too is time is money, and time kills the deal. The longer the property's on the market and doesn't sell, people start to perceive that there's something wrong with it, or, hey, this thing's been on the market 30 days, you should take that much less, right? And 30 days, not even a long period of time, but in people's minds, it is. And so then you get this further disconnect, right? And so I think that all plays into it. What happens when the seller says, well, wait a minute, so if I put this money in, and we get the higher price, great, everybody's happy. If you put the money in and we get the higher price, you're making money. Is the guy jealous that he's doing it? Or he says, hey, if you want to take the risk, come on board, you get on my side of the fence? I mean, it seems like you would get both.
Repeat the question, forgive me.
The question is, so if I'm the seller and you said to me, look, Barry, your house is not that great, right? I mean, you love it and you've lived here, but it needs some work. I mean, you want to get X. You need to put in a couple $100,000. And I go, I don't have it. I don't want to do it. I don't feel like it. I just want to sell the house. I had agent B over here came in yesterday and told me he thought he could get me X, and we'll just stick it on the way it is. We'll put some flowers in the front lawn where there's dead ones, and we'll just give it a go. And then you say, no, I think it needs $100,000 to fix up.
Right.
And if you want me, I'll put the $100,000 in, but then I'll be your partner. Do I get excited about that? How's it received, I guess, is my question.
So here's the thing. The partnership would say that I would get the benefit of all the money back, or the profit of the excess, right? No, in this case, the seller gets all of it. All I get is my commission.
And you're fronting the money for the improvements.
Exactly.
And the benefit is you get the listing and the house sells quicker.
Sells quicker and sells for more.
And the benefit to the seller is he gets more money, and then the benefit is you got a really good reference the next time when you go to.
I leverage that information, correctly. I mean, and gosh, I had this thought that just came through my brain when you were saying that. But the other thing is that never mind. I lost that train of thought.
I don't know. I was thinking, look, if I ever sell my house, I want to call you so you can come over and help me fix it up. And then we'll throw it on the market for more money.
Oh, I know what I was going to tell you. There's 3 options, actually. I have the seller experience something very, very immediately. I got 3 options for you. I'm going to buy your property right now, cash, in the next 15 days.
So you buy it, and then it's your problem, and then you fix it up, and you sell it, and you make the money. And if I don't feel comfortable that it's really worth more fixed up, just sell it to me.
Yeah, sell it to me. And I say, okay, so I'm going to give you X. And let's say, and I tell them, I say, I walk into a property just like any investor would walk, or even a buyer would walk and go, it's going to cost me $200,000 to do this. I immediately take $200,000 off the million, and now I got an $800,000 property.
Right.
Okay, so I'm going to offer you $800,000 for the property. Oh no, the offer will stay good for 60 days. Okay, if in the first 30 days we don't get a bite, or anybody's even buying it at your price point, we'll go to market with it like that. So you don't take the cash, we'll go to market for 60 days. If nobody bites, then we rediscuss and renegotiate what we're going to do here. Re-strategize. What is that re-strategy? Well, we just spent 30 days, 45 days, no bites, no anything. We need to renovate. How about that?
Yeah.
because the market is spoken. And again, you have to hear what the market is speaking. You know, as
And at that point, it's almost a little. I mean, it's not too late, but I mean, you've blown 30 or 60 days, I guess, right? It's not the end of the world, but it didn't sell in 5 days like yesterday, and it's not going to be an easy process. I got work to do to go try and sell the property, and so in today's market, what are you seeing in terms of the product that's out there that does look decent, that's not fixer upper junky stuff? Is it selling relatively quickly?
moves fast. I have literally a record of just properties in San Clemente and Dana Point, and I literally create a little show that I do, that I share this information with people when I send my emails to them. And this is literally what it says. On any given day, list to sale percentages on properties that are not what the market wants are at about an average to 94 to 96%. Meaning they went out at 100, but they sold at 94, at 940, But the properties that are pretty turnkey and pretty clean and pretty, presentable, usually it's at 107% of list to sale.
So you're still seeing properties sell more
Yes.
over ask.
Yes, and they go faster. Yes, yeah. Literally, in my farm here in Marblehead, literally, there's two properties. One on anyway, to protect the innocent. One is sitting there for the last 45 days, nothing. The new one that just came on the market has 3 offers already at above list price.
And the difference is?
The condition of the property.
Yeah.
The newness, the freshness, everything like that. Literally.
And do you find that the simple things, I mean, I don't know, I just feel like if it was me, I would put new flowers. I would at least paint the front of the house so when people drove up, they'd see it look nicer. And, I'd plant a few trees if it needed it, and do the simple things that needed to be done, whether it's a coat of paint or replace old carpet or something. And then and try and help the cause. But I still find that plenty of people are just like, yeah, here it is. I don't want to replace the carpet because I don't know what you want. So I'll just leave the old stuff.
Again, creating a neutral palette is what I call that. Just create a neutral enough palette that people can come in. If they want to do orange, if they want to do green over it, that's fine. But just give them a nice little palette to work with that they can then, their wives can come in and design it, do whatever it takes to do it. I'm telling you, the numbers are speaking for me. I feel like John the Baptist preaching out in the wilderness, right? But at the end of the day, the numbers are really speaking. The activity. Let me tell you something. They're just moving. They're moving. Buyers, especially if there's anything that the interest rate hike and the scare is doing to people, is they're looking at this. How am I going to get resources, good contractors to do this? The cost of goods or the cost of supplies, the interest rate that I got to pay for this reno. They don't want to go there.
Right.
And here's the thing I think that the media has done really bad also is what I call the fear factor. They also created this factor to sellers like, oh, buyers are desperate to buy your property. So let's put this thing and it'll sell, whatever. Yeah, it will sell for 20 to 25% below what you think it's going to sell for. That's the reality. So let's get a reality check before you hurt yourself.
And so let's talk about interest rates for a second. So on the high-end properties, what is your take? Does it really have any impact on the high-end stuff or not so much?
On the high end, no. On the 2 mil and above, 3 mil, 10 mil, no. You're talking people who are, who've already, they don't care about interest rates. They're wealthy enough, they don't care.
But do you find that those people are still concerned about price and they want a deal per se?
Quote unquote, yes, they do. But luxury is not a price point. Luxury is an experience.
Yeah, good words.
Yeah, and if you walk into any
and if you have the money, you're just like, I want it, right?
Exactly, but you want it the way you want it. You don't. Again, if I walk into a restaurant, I see some of these guys. They want the fact that the maitre d's looking at them. He's done this. The waiter's looking at that. The busboy's over doing this, and that the attention's being created. A buyer of a high level property wants the same. He wants to know that he's getting, the wolf or the mealy, whatever it is. He's getting that, those finishes. He wants that. He doesn't want to have to go figure it out how he's going to put it in there. So as long as you provided that wonderful experience to them, and the understanding that even the design is current with current trends, they want that, and they're willing to pay for that.
And the low end, or the entry level, we will call it, those people are really just trying to get into something. And like you say, they're less concerned about the rate as much as they are the payment and can I afford it. So we've talked about that. But it's the middle guys and gals that concern me the most, because those are the people that are either trading up from what they had before into something that's bigger or more expensive, that have a hard time biting off more than they can chew, or you buy something that's more than what you thought, and then now you get yourself into a renovation that it winds up costing twice whatever you thought it was going to cost anyway, and take twice as long.
Yeah.
Does that price point, right? In Orange County, I mean, if we're picking $1 million to $2.5 million, probably that middle price point range, is that the one that suffers the most, or you're still not seeing it?
Again, I'm going to use my own kid as an example. Okay, my kid was willing to, and his wife, they're willing to go ahead and renovate a property, but they were even having a hard time finding some of these properties. Right, where they go to Rancho Mission Viejo. Brand new development out there. I mean, tons and tons.
And you walk in and it's done.
And it's done. And it's ready to rock and roll. So, here's the thing is where there's a need, the former Marine in me pretty much thinks in terms of hacks. Everything's a hack. How can we make this work? How can we make this work? Do I get a fixed interest rate at 30 like my old man used to do? Do I get an interest only? Do I go, FHA? Again, there's a hack for everything. You want it bad enough, you're going to do what it takes. Now, I don't mean go extend yourself either, but it's very viable to do that. And again, if you get that person talking and you get a seller talking to them and say, listen, this is the demographic that you're looking at. These kids are a little tough right now, but they're willing to do this, and they're willing to pay the extra if you do this. So again, win-win, Zig Ziglar. Just make it a win-win for everybody. The middle section, I'm telling you, they can do it. I mean, my kids, I literally talked to all four of my kids of leaving California because I want my grandkids here.
Yeah.
How did I talk them out of it? I showed them the opportunities. One of them wants to buy, my Navy corpsman, my youngest, wants to go buy in Fallbrook because he gets more money, more bang for his buck. He may even buy in Moreno Valley. I don't care. He's going to buy in California. He's going to stay in California. I'm not going to visit my grandkids in Minnesota or Texas or whatever, Florida. No, thank you.
Well, I think that's what a lot of people think is that, look, if I buy something here in California, it's going to go up. Versus if I bought something in Texas, it's going to be nicer and it's going to be cheaper and it's going to be hotter in the summer and it's not really going to go up very much. And so that is the difference. I say to friends of mine, it's a good deal in South Carolina. The only downside is you have to live there, right? So we only have a couple of minutes left. Paul's waving at me, but I want to ask you your perception of where you think the market on the residential side goes from here, right? We've had indications that rates would come down. I don't particularly see it, and I don't see them coming down dramatically enough to move the needle relative to pricing. And I don't see that having really any impact on inventory, which then means I think we have more of the same, but I'm curious your thoughts.
Business is going to go up. Opportunities are going to go up. And I'm the visual that I have in my mind right now is if you look at it at a global level, people are still buying. They're just buying like this.
And so it's going up.
It's going up. And so, yeah.
And so if I'm a buyer, the words of advice from Roy, the expert, is if it makes sense, buy it.
Not only does it, if it makes sense, it's what's going to make you happy. And by happiness, I mean, if happiness is happenstance, that it checks all the boxes. Check all the boxes. Is this the payment I can afford to make? Okay. Is this an area, a neighborhood that I can afford to put my family into, feel safe and so forth? It's the usual things that any homeowner, any father, any brother, any sister, any wife wants is this what I want? Can I afford this? Is it doable? Don't listen to the naysayers, to the interest rates. Guess what?
Well, I also think you can't buy in today's environment going, oh, well, in 2 years I'm going to get something bigger or different. I mean, you need to be there for a little while because I don't think the world's going to change so much.
It's what I call the blue chip factor. Okay? Are the cryptos out there really great and fast and quick money? Great. And they also plunge fast. Does IBM, does Microsoft, the blue chips? You got to take a blue chip approach to anything that you do in your life. It's long and steady, long and steady.
Got it. And from a seller's perspective, what's the word of advice? I mean, I think I'm hearing it, which is you got to bring a decent product to the market and then it should sell.
Yeah. Long and steady. Yeah, it's. I mean, really,
you have it.
Yeah,
that's it. We'll keep it simple for today. From Roy's mouth to everyone else's ears, long and steady. You can apply that in golf and in other places as well. So it's good stuff. Well, look, Roy, I appreciate you coming on the show, sharing your thoughts and your insights, and certainly much continued success to you and your family and your business. And look forward to hearing your perspective down the road in terms of how these things play out. But it's certainly a unique approach as opposed to I have a house and I'm going to sell it at this price. You certainly dig in and get your hands dirty and take a more proactive approach to it. So I appreciate it.
Thank you, Barry. I appreciate it.
Yeah, so thanks for coming on. I am Barry Saywitz, president of the Saywitz Company. I want to thank everybody here at OC Talk Radio for making the show happen. I want to thank all of our viewers and our listeners again for tuning in. We will be back here next week. If it's Tuesday, we're talking real estate, and we'll see you next week.
Well, there you have it. You've been listening to Let's Talk Real Estate, your weekly BS with Barry Saywitz about the current state of the real commercial real estate market right here in Southern California. On Orange County's only community radio station, OC Talk Radio, streaming live from our studio here at the University of California, Irvine's Beale Applied Innovation.